if you go back in history, here's some of the mysteries that I've wondered about. Do you ever wonder why Google was so successful and Facebook was so successful? And you said to yourself, well, you know, got some geniuses. Well, it might be, and it seems quite clear that the entire intention of building up an internet communication thing was so that the CIA could control the news everywhere. So it's probably not a mystery why companies like Google and Facebook got so big so quickly. It's because the CIA needed to create these tools to control other countries because their main job is overthrowing other countries. And the main way you do that, the number one way you do that, is to control their information. If you can control their information, and the internet had to be controlled, then you can control them and do color revolutions. The color revolution is where you fund some dissidents, you control the media, and then the media says the leader is bad, and then the dissidents get everybody else in because they don't know it's being controlled by the CIA. They think it's organic, so they join. Now you've got this fake organic people who don't know that they were organized by the CIA. And then you've got the fake news telling them that they're right, and then it just plays out, and it leads to revolution. So these were tools that the CIA was using primarily to take over other countries, and they had a big network built to do that. Now, here's one of the things I learned, which I had predicted in my book, The Religion War, about 20 years ago. So this was actually a prediction in my book. Apparently, they mapped influence. They created a map or a series of maps so they could show what groups or people were influencing what other groups or people. And the reason they did that is they know who to suppress. Just hold that in your mind. They figured out who was the most influential people and groups online so they could suppress them. That was the point of it. Yeah. And of course, they were doing this with foreign countries. And then a bad thing happened. And this is Mike Benz is telling, he tells it much better. In 2016, unexpectedly, against 20-to-1 odds, Trump won. And all the people who had built up these capabilities to do these amazing cyber things to other countries, such as Russia, were out of a job. And they had all these skills for overthrowing countries. And suddenly they were told that Trump is the real enemy and that Trump might even be working with Russia. Now, did you ever wonder why everything was Russia, Russia, Russia? This is why. The people and the tools that were anti-Russia people were just repurposed into being anti-Trump people. And the best way to do that would be to pretend he's really Russia. Just say he's Russia. He's working with Russia. Russia embraces him. Russia is colluding with him. So that whole thing was made up because they had a whole anti-Russia machine and people trained. And so if they could make it all one thing, they could, control Trump and keep him out of office. Now, if you think it's a Democrat thing, it probably wasn't. It probably is a populist or an anti-populist thing. So as Mike Benz speculates, and I would agree, that Bernie Sanders would have been treated the same as Trump. So it wasn't about left or right. It was about populist versus people they could control. The people they could control are going to do stuff like take over Ukraine. Bernie wouldn't. Trump wouldn't. So the things that they wanted to do, who are the people in power, they couldn't do with a Trump or a Bernie. So it's not left or right. It's just no populists, because populists stop wars. And so all of these people turned their tools domestically, but that's illegal. It's illegal. So what did they do to solve the problem that it would be illegal to use these tools domestically? They changed language. Because if you can change language, then the thing that was illegal, according to your language, could become legal simply because you changed words. So in other words, this whole domestic terrorism of white supremacists and domestic terrorism, it was as fake as you thought it was. And the entire purpose of it was to say that there's terrorism inside the country. So the external facing tools, which were now substantial, they could map influence and they could shut it down through the control of the social media companies and the mainstream media. So they turned inward, made Trump the same as Russia with a fake narrative, the John Brennan narrative. And then they mapped the influencers and then they suppressed them. People like me. People like me on YouTube right now.